Dr. Ciri.
And I'm Dr. Ava, and we are Sisters in Medicine.
Today we wanted to answer a question from one of our loyal followers and subscribers, Life in Medicine. Life in Medicine asked, I would like to know if y'all started families before residency, how you balance residency work and family, advice about applying for jobs after residency and negotiating contracts, financial advice on how to ball on a residency budget as well as save. All right, so I'll give you the floor and you can address any part of that question that you would like.
All right, so balancing life after residency, since I'm out of residency right now. So I'm gonna leave the in residency questions for you because you're in residency right now. But balancing life after residency, for me, I waited to have kids until after residency, but I did get pregnant within the last 6 months of my residency. But I made sure to wait through the residency program because it would have been too much for me emotionally, financially, just not having the time to have kids. So I was able to wait, and I'm glad I did that. But balancing life after residency is gonna take some trial and error. My kids are quite young right now, and so having to find a job that will allow me to be around because I'm a really hands on mother and I want to be around for everything. I want to be the one to pick up, drop off, take them to their extracurriculars, um, weekend activities, birthday parties. I want to be the one to do all of that. And I know sometimes my goals are too high. My expectations may not be met by my goals, but I try to shoot for the stars and I try to do everything I can to meet my goal almost at 100%. And so it's been a trial and error where I've had to switch jobs a few times just to be able to accommodate my lifestyle. And I always say, as the kids are growing up and their stages are changing, sometimes I kind of have to change what I'm doing just to accommodate my kids. You're going to have to figure it out yourself, especially when you start having kids. You will be able to figure it out. You will be able to find a job that will allow you to be there for your kids. That will be a trial and error like I had to do. Right now, I'm working nights because at this point in my life, working nights is what works best for my family. I start work at 10 p.m. and I'm done at 6 or 6:30 in the morning, so that allows me to come home and see the kids and drop them off at school in the morning. And that also allows me to be able to do all kinds of things with them during the day, pick them up from school, take them to their extracurricular, and put them to bed before I go to work at 10 p.m. So for now, it works. As far as in residency, you go ahead, Dr. Ciri, and you answer those questions for her.
So, in residency, I'm married. I don't have any children just yet. I'm kind of doing what Dr. Ava did by waiting to have children. So, I can't really speak to what it would be like to have children in residency. But I do know people in my residency program that have children who make it work. But I don't know how they do it. I couldn't imagine. As far as balancing being a wife and a resident, it's not easy per se, but it's doable. I feel like I have a very supportive husband who understands my duty hours. He understands, the time that residency takes, and he is very supportive and accommodating. He's not expecting me to be home at a certain time to cook dinner for him because oftentimes he's home before I'm home. So he'll help out and have dinner ready, and he can't cook at all. So a lot of times it's restaurant bought food that he'll have ready for us. Sometimes he'll try to cook though. So I have a lot of help from that standpoint. When it comes to other household chores like laundry, I prefer to do that because I like it done a certain way. So what I'll do is make sure that on whatever off day I have, I'll wake up early and get laundry going to make sure that that's done by the middle of the day so that on my off day I'll at least have half a day to relax and hang out with my husband. But for the most part, a lot of the things that have to get done around the house happen on my off days. When it comes, time to spend quality time with my husband, the majority of it happens on my off days. And if I have an exam to study for, like for instance, when I was an intern and I had to prepare for step 3, a lot of my off days were split between spending time with my husband and studying. And sometimes he would even, allow me, not allow me, but he would ask me, if you want to study for the whole day, go ahead. He was letting me know he wasn't feeling neglected if I did want to take the whole day to study, because sometimes it does take that. So time management is key. Just managing your time, planning ahead, knowing when your off days are, knowing how much time you're going to have, what you have to get done, and making it work.
Everything you said stems from not just time management, but if you do get married while you're in residency, having a significant other who understands and who's supportive. That's very important during the process, and even after residency, you still want that spouse to be very supportive and very understanding. And that's also what I have. So I'm able to do a lot of things because I have that support system, and he's able to do a lot of things because I also support him. So without that, it will be very, very hard because the career itself requires a lot of hours, a lot of, you have to put a lot into it even after residency. So you do need to have someone who's supportive. So take your time when it comes to choosing your spouse. That's what I would recommend.
Question for you: how is it being married to another physician? I think we both have different perspectives because our spouses do different things. And for me, I made it a point, an absolute point, to avoid marrying another doctor. But that's not your situation. You kind of have a different perspective. So,
Yeah, it's definitely not easy because the career, like I said, requires a lot of hours and a lot of effort that you have to put into it. Your patients need you. You're on call sometimes. You have to work weekends, holidays, and nights sometimes. Depending on your career choice, it's even harder based on your specialty or subspecialty. But being married to another physician, we have to sync our schedule, especially we have kids now. And so I'm a little bit more flexible than he is because he's an ER physician. So you already know once you're in the ER, you cannot leave, and sometimes you can't answer your phone. So me being a hospitalist, I'm a little bit more flexible with my hours and answering the phone while I'm at work, just because you never know if the nanny's gonna call, the school is gonna call about something going on with the kids. They're sick. Sometimes you have to go pick them up from school. Having another physician in the household makes that schedule a lot harder to maneuver, but we make it work. It takes a lot of communication and a lot of support to make it work. We've been making it work so far, so good. But having a spouse who's not a physician, it's a lot easier than one who's a physician.
from the other side, I guess it's a lot easier. But
But it also depends on what that spouse does, because he may not be a physician, but maybe traveling a lot. That's also hard because
right.
it's like having someone who's not always there, especially when you have kids. But still, another physician, two physician household, you have to put in more work into it.
Right.
But it's doable.
And for
Yeah.
me, my husband's in the military, so he would have to go on missions a lot. And luckily, he hasn't been deployed outside of the country. But I couldn't imagine having kids right now and having to work all the hours that I do in residency and not have him
All
physically
right.
here. Right. And luckily, he won't be in the military much longer. He is thankfully retiring. So that's a good thing. So when we do have kids, I'm glad I won't have to worry about him getting deployed or anything like that. So hopefully it works out. Hopefully I have a nice smooth situation like you do once I'm done.
Yeah, it's not a smooth situation, but It's a doable situation. Right. She also asked a question about balling on a residency salary. It's hard. I mean, residency salary is nothing. It's just enough for you to survive. Just enough for you to pay for a place to stay, buy some food, maybe have a car note. There's not much you're going to be able to do on a residency salary. But then again, it's a temporary situation. You're not going to be in that situation forever. So just budget wisely with the money that you're given. Don't try to live above your means. If you have a spouse who's able to help pay the bills in the household, great. But if you're alone, just stick to your budget and don't live above your means. Don't go buy things that you're gonna regret later. But then again, it's a temporary situation. There's some light at the end of the tunnel.
I agree with that. And seeing as how I'm in residency, balling on a budget, I can't say that I'm really balling at all. I feel like it's very difficult to save when you're in residency because you have expenses. You are having to pay for food. You have to pay for your step exam. You have to pay for your board exam. You have to pay for the resources that you need to prepare for those exams, which cost money. And if you are at a residency program that doesn't give you the money to pay for those things, or if they aren't providing you with the resources that you think you need to prepare for your board exams, then you're going to have to pay for those things on your own. And that's something I had to do. So I had to budget for those things. And budget meaning sacrifice spending money on other things that I like makeup and hair products and things like that, to be able to pay for my board exams. Being in residency, you have to kind of sacrifice and kind of know what expenses you're going to have. And it is helpful, very helpful, if you have a spouse that can help, because you're a two income household at that point if you have a spouse, but that still doesn't, you know, take away from the fact that you have to budget. The other thing is saving in residency. I don't know a lot of people who do save in residency. And if you just,
Hard.
yeah, it's hard. And if you
Very
decide
hard.
to want to try to save in residency, pick a
Mm.
very reasonable number, something like 1% of your income or 5% of your income. But it's very difficult to save the standard 10% of your income that everyone else is saving. The thing to think about is once you're done with residency, your salary, depending on what you're doing, can quadruple or be 5 or 6 times more than what you're making in residency. So at that point, you can say to yourself, instead of saving 10% of my income, since I have, exponentially more income, I can save 30%. I can save 20%. And in that way, you can kind of catch up and make up for the lost time that you were in medical school and residency. So it's
Right.
doable, but residency requires lots of financial sacrifice, time sacrifice. And then also, I guess, if you're into things like makeup and fashion, me personally, I only buy things that are on sale. Even the filming equipment that I have, on sale. So I feel like look for deals, try not to buy anything that's not on sale.
Yeah, and it's temporary. I mean, you're in residency. That's a major step in your life. You're on your way to making it. If you already made it, and so you're there pretty much, and you only have a little bit more to go. Just be patient with yourself. Don't try to rush yourself. You're gonna be good.
Right. So I'm
You'll be
looking
good.
forward to it. 159 more days and counting.
Oh my God, congrats. Well, hopefully that answered the questions that you asked. Anybody else who's watching this video, if you have any more questions, please don't hesitate to contact us or comment below. We'll be happy, happy, happy to answer your questions.
Right. So until next time, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.